further ado, I hope you're going to enjoy it as much as we enjoyed already in the last 1 year, and I hope to have that we're going to have lots of fun today and the continuation of the work. And welcome and thank you.
Ve sonunda beklenen an geldi. Açılış konuşmaları ve hoş geldin konuşmaları bizden bu kadar. Şimdi aramızda olan Mozilla Foundation'ın Web Maker programının başında olan aslında Mozilla topluluğunda aktivistleri, hackerları arasındaki topluluk dinamiklerinin hakkında çok büyük deneyimi olan, Mozilla Fest gibi organizasyonları kolaylaştırmış olan bir konuşmacımız var aramızda, Michel Thor. Ben kişisel olarak çok heyecanla bekliyorum neler söyleyeceğini ve Michel'i sahneye davet ediyorum.
Huge thank you for inviting me and to all of you for coming here. I actually, before we kick off with some remarks for the weekend, I actually wanted to invite you all to turn to your neighbor and introduce yourself and ask them why they're here. What do they want to get out of the event? So don't be shy, say hi. So I hope you're having fun meeting your neighbor. For me, this is a beautiful sound. It is actually hard once you start talking and sharing with peers. It's actually very difficult to stop because we realize all of the knowledge and expertise that we have in the room is much greater than me here speaking or anyone else speaking. We have collectively so much knowledge and expertise, and this is an opportunity for us to share that. And so my name's Michelle, and what I'm hoping to get out of this weekend is to share with you a theory of change, to learn about your theories of change. And so I just propose for the next few minutes to share some reflections that might help us through the coming day. So my theory of change has 3 parts. The first part is that learning and making is political. Secondly, that technology will repeat the power of the past unless we learn and make technology differently. And thirdly, the way that we can create social change is through peer learning that is served by, but not a subject to, technology. So I'll say more about what those things mean, but to first off, what does this learning and making are political? What does that mean? For me, my journey actually started in Zagreb with a kind of a circus of misfits. We were invited to do a workshop, actually with some people from TechSoup, where there were about 40 technologists and social activists and linguists all sitting together, drinking very strong Croatian coffee. I was sitting next to a guy who looked like a real pirate, he was a political pirate. And the event was really interesting. The idea was we are all there to learn from each other. So we were given the space to act and to listen together, and we could co-create that event. And for me, that was really interesting. I had never been to an event like that before. It really changed the power dynamics of the event. We were given the framework to make the collaborations we wanted to have, and we were given permission to learn the things we wanted to learn and to speak to who we wanted to speak to. And for me, before going to that event in Zagreb, I had been a passive activist, which I guess is a little bit of an oxymoron. But, you know, I read lots of books, I watched lots of films, but I wasn't very active myself. I didn't really be vulnerable or step out of myself. And that event, that workshop in Zagreb a few years ago really transformed me. And I think years later, I realized what was going on in that event that triggered that transformation, that awakening for me. And that was really this idea that deep collaboration, deep impact, and deep value comes out of the fact that each of us individually is motivated to learn and to make the things we want to make, and we do that together. And so this, in this sense, this becomes a gateway to learn more and to do more. And this is what I mean in the sense that learning and making is political, because it is about those power dynamics of us as participants in the room. This event also was kind of a starting off point to learn more about learning. And I don't know about you, but when I hear the word learning, I want to fall asleep. You know, education, it can be boring. We think of like old classrooms and outdated textbooks. But it's actually very interesting if you think about the dynamics of learning. In the past, teachers had all of the power. They were the authority figure, they were the knowledge experts, and they would give that knowledge to their students like containers. They thought of their students like bank accounts. Like, I will deposit some knowledge in your brain and you will leave being wealthier. And the power of the society, the dynamics of the society shaped that exchange, that power exchange. And the students learned that to be successful, you copy what the teacher does. You copy that authority, or else you'll be punished. And so as the students grow up, they have a choice to either repeat that same power structure, to be that authority figure or to respond to that authority figure, their teacher, or they can change that. And for me, this is where I think is the crossroads, the very interesting opportunity we have, each of us individually, and when we think about learning going forward. So what's an alternative to this outdated idea of learning and engagement? I propose that it's peer learning. So learning with peers, learning with others. And I think these are the seeds of what a true empowerment and true change will look like. So to do that, we have to understand that people learn best when they learn in interaction and when they learn by practicing and doing themselves. And the emphasis is on the how, not necessarily on the what. So how they're learning is actually informing the change that they'll make. And so if you look at like progressive pedagogy today, what that looks like, what studies are showing really has transformative experiences for the learners, you'll see that progressive pedagogy or peer learning really sits at the idea of the teacher as the facilitator. The teacher's not there as an authority figure, they're there as a guide, as a mentor, as a mediator, as someone who is brokering collaborations with their students. And for me, that is a very interesting transformation. The teacher actually takes a step back as the students start to grow and connect with one another. So this is a very interesting concept if we think about ourselves as social activists, as technologists. What does it look like when we start to step back because we're doing things that are enabling and empowering others to connect? And that's a process that can go on and repeat itself over and over again because we're always learning and always creating new things. So this is one part of that reflection to maybe carry us through the days is what can we learn from facilitative teachers? What can we learn from this process of progressive pedagogy, of peer learning? How can we take those ideas into what we make and what we build together? And now let's some water. So yeah, thinking about peer learning. As I said before, we can think about learning in a very boring way. Just think about what happens in school and then it's over. Or actually what's emerging is understanding that learning is something that happens throughout your life. Actually, some of the most important things you learn happen outside of school. It's experiences that you have in real life. It's the experiences that you have when you're older. And so I know we're on a university, and that's an interesting kind of between the classroom of when you're younger and then the real world. But also the university, the sense of university is also changing. The borders are expanding, and people realizing that sometimes the best experiences you have are the ones that are applied. So when you think about, okay, let's take this idea seriously. You can learn throughout your whole life. What does that mean? It's actually kind of radical when you think about it. It means that we're moving beyond just the phase when we're trained in school to actually taking control of what we learn, who we learned with, what we learned, how we apply that. We're taking control of that throughout our entire lives. And that's actually a pretty powerful idea. And today, I think we're actually at a very important crossroads. We have so many tools that help us find peers and collaborators and knowledge more than we've ever had before. And the ability to wield the web is more readily available to us. And this technology is serving us and serving this connection and serving our lifelong mission to learn and learn together. And this technology, it has its own difficulties. Soon, 1 billion people will come online, and they'll come online mostly through their mobile phones. And most of those people think that the web, that technology, that the internet is just Facebook. They think, oh, it's only going to be Facebook. That's the kind of limit of my imagination and the possibility. And so for me, I think this is a powerful, as us here as social activists and people who make technology, what are the ways that we're showing people and proving the value of the internet beyond just Facebook? How do we unlock that potential for more people? Because when millions of people come online for the first time and only see Facebook, that means their reality, their possibility is limited by one corporation, by one single power. So what does it look like for us to challenge that or help people open those doors so that they see the bigger possibility? We let just the Facebooks of the world control what people believe is possible, then we will just repeat the power structures of the past and we will keep the status quo. And that is a huge limitation. So I propose that we have to make and learn technology differently, and that process of how we make it and learn it will replicate itself in the technology so that people will then see those greater opportunities. So we have to focus on the how of what we make and learn as much as we focus on the what we're making and learning. More water. So, peer learning. I do think peer learning is the key to social change. I think that's the vehicle for us to make a social change, is by doing things together and by learning together. And this is supported by technology, but not a subject of technology. We're not being disciplined by technology. So what does that look like specifically? This maybe speaking very, very abstractly at the moment, but specifically, what can this look like? I see all of us here as a tribe. We're like a group of makers. We will have hacking events and building events, making events. We will tinker together. So we understand the ethics of being a maker. And one of the primary principles of being a maker is that if you can't open it, you don't own it. And building on top of that is the idea that doing it yourself is empowering, and doing it together is even more empowering. So these theories of maker culture, of things being open, of doing things together, of reflecting and teaching and building together is actually really one of the best examples I know of what peer learning looks like in practice. And so kind of inspired by the maker movement and what does making and learning look like through the lens of maker culture, I will propose 5 principles or 5 steps to applying peer learning to your everyday life and to your everyday action. So these are by no means conclusive or anything like that, but they're inspired through a lot of research and studies and practices. So hopefully these might be some helpful takeaways or steps to actually apply peer learning in a real way. So firstly, peer learning is about learning by making. So this means you don't learn when you just listen, like just listen to me. So the best way you're going to learn about peer learning is just to go out and do it. This weekend, today, tomorrow, you started talking to your neighbor. that is the way that you're going to learn. So go out there and do the thing that you want to learn. That's how you can learn. The classroom, the world is your classroom and your laboratory. And in this sense, as you experience it and are aware of the processes of learning as you're making the reality you want, that will help you learn and deepen your knowledge. So we learn by making. The second principle is that we learn together. So you learn best when it's done socially and with peers. We are networked with one another, we collaborate with one another, we amplify what each other does. And this social interaction as we learn is also a huge piece of the power of peer learning. Thirdly, we learn openly. So there are open practices like open licensing, open hardware, open software. These are all amazing tools, and we should continue to use and support and understand those. And also, learning openly means being vulnerable. I feel very vulnerable up here, sharing what I know or what I think. And I encourage you also at this event to be vulnerable, to share, to step out there, and to be open in that sense. And as you're open and reflecting on what you know, that will help others build on top of that. So your reflections, your knowledge, the way you document what you've tried and what you've experienced will help others build on top of that. So we learn openly. Fourthly, learn across differences. So in the education models of the past, the teacher's job was to assimilate students, to make everybody the same. And actually, if you think about learning differently and understanding the value of having diversity and diverse mindsets and including different perspectives, this becomes also a very powerful thing. So what can we be doing that fosters different mentalities, different backgrounds, different perspectives as we learn together? That's what I mean by learning across differences. And lastly, learning with a purpose. So it's fun to tinker and play around. And then when you learn with a goal in mind, with a purpose, with a cause, your learning becomes more powerful and deeper. You start to understand how much the process impacts what you're doing, and that the act of teaching and learning and making becomes political because you are driving towards a personal change or a collective change. So for whatever it's worth, those are my 5 steps of peer learning. We learn by making, we learn together, we learn openly, we learn across differences, and we learn with a purpose. And in all of these cases, I see technology in service to this peer learning. It's not the authority or the restriction of this learning. It's an enabling tool and should always be in service to humans connecting together. And this is important especially when you work a lot with technology, because sometimes technology can seem like an end in itself. But I think maybe also an important idea to have in our mind as we go through the various workshops today is, how is this technology a tool for us to learn and make and collaborate and improve together? So lastly, I see this event as a very powerful microcosm, a small universe of what the future might look like. We're here together and we can think about not just what we make, but how we make it, and who we make it with, and who we make it for. And we can ask ourselves throughout this weekend, are we creating things together? Are we creating things in a way that invites participation? Are we making things that bring in a diverse set of mindsets, a diverse set of skills? And are we making things, most importantly, with a purpose? So this is my theory of change. Learning and making are political. Technology will repeat the power of the past unless we learn and make technology differently. And the way that we'll create social change is through this peer learning, where technology is supporting but not dominating what we do. So this is all why I believe we have the power to make a difference. So this weekend, I invite you to join me and make that difference. Thank you.
Şimdi isterseniz soru cevap bölümüne geçebiliriz. Michel'e sorularınız varsa. Biz aynı zamanda mikrofonu da dolaştırıyor olacağız çeviride olduğu için.
want to learn from you guys, so I'm excited to hear what you say. Yeah.
What is your main purpose of doing applying peer learning? Is it happiness or what is your yeah.
Sure. So the question was, what's my purpose for thinking or promoting peer learning? That's a great question. Maybe I should add that to my talk next time. So for me personally, I see this as a reflection of my own process, that I feel more self-actualized, more authentic and alive, actually, by understanding and embracing peer learning. And I see this also as a vehicle for change. And so I'm personally very motivated by more people participating in society, more people participating online. And therefore, I think for me, that's why I care so much about peer learning, because I want more people to be active and not just passive consumers on Facebook. So that's what motivates me. Sure.
Ben biraz daha aslında Mozilla'daki işleyişi de merak ediyorum. Özellikle bildiğim kadarıyla Mozilla'nın içerisindeki özellikle programcı topluluğu arasında bir topluluk yaratmada kolaylaştırıcı bir rolün var. Yanlış bilmiyorsam eğer. Bundan biraz daha bahsedebilir misin? Programcılar arasında bir topluluk yaratmak ne anlam ifade ediyor? Bunun için ne tarz araçlar kullanıyorsunuz? Mozilla Fest'te bu araçlardan biri mi? Belki biraz daha Mozilla Fest'in detayları hakkında bilgi verebilirsen çok sevinirim.
Thank you.
Sure. So, referencing an event that I worked quite a lot on called the Mozilla Festival, which really brings together technologists and activists and educators, a very wide mix of disciplines. So the challenge with Mozilla is that it started off as a tech company with a social cause. And you will always have this dynamic when you have technology tied with a social cause, because you start to have people who care just about the technology, and then you have people who just care about the social cause. So you always have these tensions of interests. And so my goal as an organizer of the Mozilla Festival and in the programs that I run for Mozilla is to challenge or to break that tension through having people collaborate with one another using the peer learning model. So that means, for example, a technologist who only cares about some very obscure JavaScript library, blah. It's like you have to work on methods for them to come out of themselves, to be vulnerable, and to be in service to others. So I always think of this idea of technology serving others. And so when you work with technologists, asking, understanding the why of what they're making, and so that they can understand technology as a tool that's in service to humans. This is always like a tension that comes up. And so at events, we spend a lot of time understanding the why of what we're building, and especially trying to bridge the differing opinions between technologists and social activists through those conversations, through peer learning. Don't be shy.
Merhabalar. Ben Tuncay Ural, Yaşayarak Öğrenme Merkezi adına.
I'm sorry.
Good.
Yaşayarak Öğrenme Merkezi adına buradayım. Bizim de zaten yaklaşık bir yıldır dernekleştik. Ana amacımız yaşayarak yaparak öğrenmeyi içselleştirmiş bireyler olarak tecrübe paylaşımı üzerine aktiviteler yapıyoruz. Yaklaşık 4-5 yıldır, bir yıldır derneğiz. Bu konuda sizden nasıl yapabiliriz, bu konuda beraber nasıl çalışabiliriz soracaktım. Teşekkür ediyorum.
Oh, that's awesome. If I understand you, it's a center for learning and living, learning by living?
Yes, we are learning by doing. This is our passion.
Yeah, I would love, we should model good peer learning and have a coffee together afterwards, and I'd love to learn, yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Oh. That's all right. Well, I would say don't be shy, either now or I'm also here throughout the entire event, and I'd love, like this gentleman, to have a coffee with you and to learn about what you're working on, how we could work together. I'm happy to share more about my work at Mozilla. I didn't want to speak too much and be a bit of a, I don't know, too much about that particular work, because I'm curious to hear what you guys are doing. But happy to also share more about our experiences in more detail or share documentation and things like that. So if there's no further questions, I would just say, oh yeah, go for it.
In social projects, there are some people doesn't have digital literacy or access to technologies, and in those cases, how do you include these groups in technology and your social work? Thank you.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So yeah, I think digital literacy faces many barriers. First barrier is just access to technology. Many places don't even have the tools to get online or to explore the digital world. I think mobile phones help, for example, so low-cost mobile phones have been giving people more access. So projects that are about low-cost hardware, also things like the One Laptop per Child, are great initiatives to give more access to the tools to be online. So access is the first barrier. Second barrier is an awareness and a knowledge barrier. So even if you have a phone, like I said, many people think that the internet is just Facebook. So there's a lack of awareness of what you can do online, how you can explore and build and create and meet other people online beyond just the logic of Facebook. So I think that this awareness gap requires education, requires real experiences. It requires living by learning or learning by living. And so for me, I think that for that second barrier, we need education programs. And that's also something that I work on quite a lot of and would love to learn more if people are doing those things. So hardware and education, so access to hardware and to education, I think are two of the key things to promoting digital literacy. Oh, yeah, here's one.
I know Mozilla is a software company, but can you give us a bit of information about the social aspects of this and your role? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, so I always think of Mozilla as a Frankenstein because on the one hand, we are a technology company. So Mozilla is most known for making the browser Firefox. But the reason Firefox started was actually a social reason, because there was one monopoly, one corporation who ruled the internet. That was Microsoft and Internet Explorer. And Firefox was created to be an alternative and to package the values of openness, of open culture, open source, like being a champion for the user. That idea of being a champion for the user and applying open things came together to make the browser Firefox as an alternative to the one dominant authoritarian corporate culture of the Internet Explorer, and to create diversity in the marketplace. So this was Mozilla's mission, using technology to make change in the marketplace by creating a more diverse market and having an alternative. So that's how Mozilla makes change through products. It also makes change through helping people use technology. So not just Mozilla products. I don't care if you use Firefox or not, although I can help you install Firefox. But I actually care more about you using the web. And so Mozilla's mission is around helping people use the web to know more and do more on the web. So you can either do that using Mozilla products, which are free and open and in Turkish, or we will help you with education and support, advocacy, and various like social work and social and community organizing to help with the education piece to use the web. So these are the kind of two ways that Mozilla tries to make change, with product and through community organizing and education.
So Mozilla used to be a startup, and I guess that a lot of people here are thinking about how to have your own startup, what to do, how to be innovative. And as you said, it used to be monopoly of other companies, but nowadays it's so hard to come up with something new and to be innovative and to use technology when everything was created and developed. And I'm wondering what kind of advice you could give to people who would like to start using technology and having their own startups, how to do it nowadays when everything is kind of invented.
Yeah. Great question. So actually, as someone interested in startups, I also think we should be interested in helping make sure that we don't have monopolies online. So my first thing would be like, get involved, get active to help challenge monopolies online. So if we only have Facebook, your company won't be needed or exist. So we need to have a diversity of companies and actions online, or of initiatives online. So to be active in projects like that. And then secondly, I will go back to my talking point of peer learning, because I do think that that startups today have a wealth of mentors, of best practices, of support, that to put yourself out there and say that you're looking for that kind of help, you will be amazed by the power and the generousness of people helping you. And I think always make something that is in service to your users. So your users are real people. They are not some imaginary thing. So if you're making something, always think about who is using it, how they're using it, how are you giving value to that person who is using it, and to always just be in service to that user. And there you'll make a great tool if you're really serving that user, and that can be something that guides you as you build your project or your software. Right. I would say that, one more, okay, brave soul.
Thank you. Well, actually, it's not really very much a question, but more like a comment on what was said. I'm sorry, I'm from Microsoft. Yeah, and so, all right, it's okay. But what I wanted to say was that I do agree with what you say, that you have to do something that serves the people, that serves. You think of the need first, and then you will come up with an idea. If you think of, oh my God, I need to be innovative, that's not the starting point. You need to think of the need. I do disagree a little bit with the idea that everything was invented, because everything is not. Today, if you think of, for example, I work for the CSR department for Middle East and Africa. And if you think of Africa, there is still so much to do. I'll just give you like a little example, very short one, of a village where the cows were stolen all the time. And one of the people in this village decided to build an app for chips to add on the cows, kind of an immatriculation number, so they would be able to track them, and it solved the problem. So I just wanted to kind of comment on your idea of, if you think of the need, people have problems everywhere. Underserved communities exist in almost every country. So if you think of those people, and if you start with the idea of helping them, I'm sure you can find very innovative ideas.
Yeah. I definitely agree. We have not invented all the things, because there will always be new needs. And Microsoft has become actually a very interesting company. I was just teasing about the eras of the past. Cool. All right. Well, then I would say thanks so much, and I'll hand it back, and look forward to having a coffee and to making and learning with you this weekend.
Hoş geldiniz tekrar. Birazdan kahve arasına çıkacağız ama kahve arasına çıkmadan önce programla ilgili çok küçük birkaç bilgilendirme yapacağım. Herkesin yaka kartı var mı? Yaka kartınızın arkasında programın kendisi zaten mevcut. Burada birazdan kahve arasına gideceğimiz zaten gözüküyor. Kahve arasından sonra bir takım küçük keyifli atölyelere katılacağız hep birlikte. Bu etkinlik için 4 tane farklı alan kullanıyoruz. Bu alanlarda, bu 4 alanda gün boyunca bir sürü atölye olacak. Keyifli atölyelerin nerede olduğunu görebilmeniz için arkanızda duvar değil o ama duvara benzeyen şeyde mekanlar ve hangi mekanda hangi atölyelerin olduğu yazıyor. Bu mekanlara nasıl gideceğinizle ilgili de hemen kapının yanında bir harita mevcut. O haritada da mekanların yerleri işaretlenmiş durumda. Yine de karışık olabilir, yine de bulamayabilirsiniz ama üzerinde Things yazan tişörtleri giyen arkadaşlar sizlere bu konuda yardımcı olacaklar. Nereye nasıl gitmeniz gerektiği konusunda. Bu keyifli atölyeler bittikten sonra tekrar burada buluşuyoruz. Things Challenge kapsamında finale kalan projelerin ekipleri buradalar. Onlarla buluşmanızı isteyeceğiz. Size projelerinden bahsetmek isteyeceklerdir. Daha sonra yine hep birlikte burada yemekte olacağız. Öğleden sonra yine 4 farklı mekanda toplam 12 tane atölye yapacağız. Bu atölyelerin yerleri de yine aynı duvarda yazıyor. Yönlendirmeleri yine biz yapacağız. Sonrasında da bir kapanış konuşması olacak. O konuşmada hep birlikte burada olacağız. Mekanla ilgili birkaç küçük bilgi var. Bunlardan bir tanesini söyledim. Atölye mekanları. Etkinlik çadırı dediğimiz yer burası. Çadır 2 dediğimiz yer karşıda bulunan şeffaf çadır. Orada sandalyeleri, projeksiyon perdesini görebilirsiniz. Kapıdan çıkıp sola döndüğünüzde, dümdüz ilerlediğinizde karşınıza çıkacak cam ekranlı mekan sosyal kuluçka merkezi. Bir de kapıdan çıkıp sağa döndüğünüzde danışmadan da yardım alarak yaklaşık bir 300 metre yürüyerek gideceğiniz yerde E4 binasında 208 numaralı sınıf. Bu 4 mekanı kullanıyor olacağız bugün boyunca. Haritaya bakarak bulamadığınız yerleri lütfen bize sorun, yardımcı olalım. Bunun dışında dışarıda mekan, dış mekanda bir takım minderler var. Minderlerin renkleri turuncu. Orada 3 tane ağacın arasına gerilmiş turuncu ipler ve mandallar var. Bunları niye oraya astık? O da şu, aslında Things kapsamında bir yıl boyunca sürekli küçük gruplar halinde bir araya geldik. Biz buluşmalara devam etmek istiyoruz. Sizce buluşmaya devam etmek için bundan sonra ne yapmalıyız? Bununla ilgili fikirlerinizi almak için o ipleri ve mandalları oraya astık. Eğer buluşmalara devam etmek için bize önerdiğiniz şeyler varsa lütfen yazıp o ipleri asın ki biz de seneye ne yapacağımıza sizden aldığımız fikirlerle geliştirip devam etmeye çalışalım. Bunun dışında bir şey daha var küçük. Kapıdan çıktığınız zaman yine solda bir tane makine var. Eğer Kamp 2015 hashtag ile Instagram'dan bir fotoğraf paylaşırsanız o makinenin yanına gidip resmi alabilirsiniz. Gün içinde çektiğiniz fotoğrafları Kamp 2015 hashtag ile paylaştığınız sürece fotoğraflarınız oradan çıkmaya devam edecek. Genel olarak bu. Eğer programın, etkinliklerin herhangi bir yeriyle ilgili bir sıkıntı yaşarsanız kayıt olduğunuz masa aynı zamanda bir danışma masası. Oraya gidebilir, sorularınızı sorabilirsiniz. Things tişörtlü arkadaşlar da zaten sürekli etrafta. Onları da danışabilirsiniz. Şimdi isterseniz kahve arasına gidelim. İyi eğlenceler. Kullanabilirsin. Burada bırakırsan düşerseniz